Hey guys, Anthony, 4x4 Diesel and 4x4 Touring Australia. We're going to give you a little bit of feedback on the batteries, fridges and storage system here, but before we do, I just want to tell you another little story. If you have a look over there, you got a Red Sands Hilux, 2018 Hilux. Here the ARB compressor's running. Anyway, we tried to help them out, but showing them which plug to unplug to stop the compressor and all that sort of thing. They're on the phone to Red Sands, who are not really that helpful. So the first question I want to ask before we get to the feedback on these fridges and the batteries, been using these for a while now, I've got some really awesome information for you and what the battery voltages are and what's going on. We've got all the information here, but first thing I want to say, all this touring information that we're going to talk about here is on our other YouTube channel now, right? 4x4 Touring Australia. So spelt the same as 4x4 Diesel, but it's 4x4 Touring Australia. So what's going on? Has anybody had one of those ARB compressors do what's happening over there? So what's happening is it just randomly turns itself on, right? It just turns itself on. Obviously, you know, we can pull the fuse, the main fuse, the big one, near the compressor, or we can just unplug the thick black and red wires, whatever the case may be, to stop that, which we've already told them about that, because they've been on the phone to Red Sands and they're saying unplug this and unplug that and whatever. And look, I personally think it's probably relay. There's a lot of mud and water they've been splashing up under the bonnet, you know. Hitting water crossings a little bit too hard, I'd say. But that's the mechanical side. We did have a look at it. There was also the usual aftermarket fuel filter with the fuel lines rubbing on the engine cover and stuff like that as well. So that's probably going to end up in you know, reliability issues as well. So if you want to see all this touring information that, you know, about the fridges and the batteries, 4x4 Touring, it's spelt the same as 4x4 Diesel, but it's 4x4 Touring Australia. So we'll quickly run through a few of the things we've got here. We've got the custom made storage system, the K-on table and the rear door storage cage, which is awesome. K-on, right? But we've had these fridges in for a while now. What's a while? Let me think. What is it? About 6 months? Yeah, a bit longer than that. It's a bit over 6 months now. So we've had them on a few trips, enough to know. So a little bit of feedback on the Century dual force battery as well under the bonnet, the 90 amp hour. Good battery, it does recharge quickly, it does work really well. Like, there's an Optima over there, see that little, I think they're only about a 70 amp hour or something like that. But where we're having a problem here is the insulation, right? So the fridges are good, so if you haven't seen, right, this one we run on about, what temperatures on, where's the thermometer or whatever anyway. Normally you don't leave it open, but everything's cold in here. I don't know, there's a little thermometer somewhere in here where we can see the temperature, but anyway, can't find it at the moment. But on that setting, about halfway, keeps it about 10 degrees. The cold comes from the top. It's the top of the fridge is where the cooling element is. And you can see it's really thin there. Right, I reckon, I'm estimating it's about, be probably lucky if it's 15 mil thick, right? So there's not a lot of insulation there. So what we noticed is, so this is really functional. This is awesome to be able to get stuff in and out the drawers like that. Great. The bottom fridge seems more efficient, and maybe because it's got another fridge above it insulating it. Because we've got these panels that are helping as well, but you can feel the coldness there. And for example, we've got couple loaves of bread sitting here, and if I feel the bottom of the bread's cold, and if you put your hand in here, like you can't, but believe me, it's nice and cold in there. So from that cooling happening at the top of the drawer of the fridge, obviously the cooling element's there and no or very little insulation. So the fridges are not efficient. There's nothing wrong with the battery, the wiring, or the compressors. The compressors are just compressors like any other fridge, like a Waeco. That's what they are, you know, what you can see, Waeco, Demetric, same thing, right? It's the same compressor. The issue is the efficiency. So there's nothing wrong with the insulation as far as the drawer goes. There's a seal here, right? This works really well to seal at the front of the drawer there. There's no issue there. They're really good functionality. So if you're living in the cooler climates, I've noticed that it works pretty well. So if you're around Victoria or bottom part of South Australia, you know, or Tassie, and it's winter and all that, this works really well. But if you're in the hot areas where insulation matters, these fridges haven't got the insulation, so I would recommend against them if you're going to be in hot climates. You need a decent quality fridge that's quality because it's got insulation, because one thing is cooling it down, the other one is you need to keep it cool, right? You need to keep it cool, and that's how thick and the material used to insulate it. Now, yesterday the vehicle wasn't driven much, okay? So we're on 11.8 now, but we've got a torch charging, we've got an iPad charging, and we've got a phone charging in the car, which they all pull about 0.1 of a volt. So we're on about 12 volts, so you can see 11 point, it's going up a bit even. So there could be, is there staying the damn crows out here? No compressors running at the moment. I just had a listen, right? So we've got 11.9. So if I was to unplug, I'll give you, let's do it, right? This might recover a little bit if I just unplug these momentarily. Let's just see what happens. A bit more chit chat. Look, not immediately, that's for sure, right? So you've seen it hasn't changed, but that'll probably pop back up to 12. There it is, see, 12. As suspected, trust me, I've been using these long enough to know what goes on. You plug in a charger light back to 11.9, plug in the iPad, it'll probably drop a bit more. So the battery's on 12 volts at the moment, which isn't bad, but it's pretty well hammered for one night. Now yesterday we drove about 20 minutes, then we drove about another 15 minutes. It was sitting on the solar for about 2 hours in the sun, which that's these panels here, the ones from Melandi, the Samsung panels, which are, as I've said before, in the made in the Red Arc, same factory as Red Arc, and apparently better and all that. I think these ones are 160 watt, but I think it's I'm not blaming the panels, because we've tried other panels. I'm not happy with the regulator, as it turns out, the projector regulator, and even the normal regulators that come with these panels. I'm not excited about the way these panels are regulated and the voltage that we get charging and stuff like that. Now, so about 2 hours of solar charging, and then we drove back, which was probably, let's say, half hour, 40 minutes of driving. So not a lot of driving, but the battery was up to 12.8. It got a good charge. But overnight, in just an afternoon, so we got back at, say, what was it, 4 o'clock, let's say. So from 4 p.m. with an overnight, we had an overnight low of about 10 degrees, so not the hottest weather. Back of the car open like this, so plenty of ventilation, right? We've got our K-on table, this is our kitchen, this is where we're living. You can see the fridges, we've got the ventilate, nothing blocking the ventilation there. So that the fan that runs, it's right there. Obviously the one of the small fridge below, it's not as good ventilation because there's a drawer here. But it doesn't get super hot in there unless you're in 40-degree heat. This is what I'm saying. This is what's happening in this kind of climate. So if you get into a hot climate like we have in, you know, on another trip we did a couple of months ago, it was 40 every day. The battery absolutely gets hammered, right? So there we are, back to 12 volts. We've got no solar or anything happening at the moment. It's about 9 a.m., 10 a.m. in the morning sort of thing. So it's been quite a few hours. So what are we at? So 4 and it's 9. We're about, what, let's say 18 hours ballpark since the battery's had any sort of charge. 12's not the end of the world, it can go lower than that. The positive is these fridges don't cut out when the voltage of the battery gets low. So conclusion on the battery is the battery's good, it lasts well, it takes a good hammering. I've run it down to about 11.5, it hasn't seemed to damage the battery, it comes back no problem. It does recharge quickly like the Optimas do, because the Century Dual Force, it was designed in competition with, you know, to sort of compete with the Optimas, because the Optimas are very popular, very reliable. I know some people talk about lithium and all that, but a lot of battery experts that aren't trying to sell batteries tell us that lithium isn't ready yet, you know what I mean? Not yet. Just let it wait a little bit longer, let the technology get a bit better. So, you know, there's statistics out there that say, oh, you know, they'll, you know, cycle 4 times as many times as these batteries and whatever, but they're only allowing 500 cycles on these Optima batteries, where I know I've done 1,500, 2,000 cycles on some batteries and they're still 80, 90% as good as new. So you got to compare apples with apples, right? And not what the paperwork says and not what the companies want to tell you to sell you stuff. I'm not here to sell you anything, I'm just telling you real information. So the Century Dual Force is good. The wiring setup on this vehicle we did, if you saw those videos, which would have been on the 4x4 diesel channel. So if you search battery, I think we've got a playlist, all the battery information, that sort of thing. Check that out. If you've actually had your ARB compressor have that issue like these guys over here, where it just cuts in for no reason. Can you please put in the comments what the solution was, so then everybody knows if it happens to you. I haven't actually seen that before, but like I said, obviously the switch and the relay are going to control that. I think water, muddy water in the relay or something, and look, it's a hire vehicle, it's done 100,000 k's, it's only 2 years old, late 2018, so it's only 2 years old, it's done 100,000. So you know, it could be a number of times it's been wet, but I'd like to see in the comments, just so we can all help each other, if you've had that before on the mechanical side. If you want to see more of this fridge and battery type information, feedback on this storage, very happy with the storage system setup. Obviously we put that to make it easier to just bada bing, right? That opens and closes easy. There's a chopping board there, storage for the bags there. You can see how we roll here, you know, that's all our bags and stuff we don't really use further in there, and you know, whatever, you know, the doona from the tent all gets jammed in there. You can see all spare towels, lights, toiletry bags, all dunny paper and all that. There's the, you know, cooking bag. Zoom in the reflection there. Anyway, so the wiring's good. The fridges are the issue, and it's not the compressor. Right, so the function of the drill, because a lot of people see this and they go, oh, that's awesome, look at that, right? So the fridges work. Let's have a look. What's the temperature? You can see the fridges work, no issue there. That's on that setting up near maximum, because they only go to about -2 apparently. The fridges work, okay, no issue there. I haven't had anything not working, breaking, whatever the case may be. It's just the insulation. They're always working, okay? Normally I listen, I'm hearing, and I go, well, you can usually always hear a compressor. At the moment right now you can't. That's why it's on 12 volts. The battery's slowly recovering, because remember, it pulls the voltage down when the compressors are running. They use about 2.5 amps while they're running, about 4 amps as it kicks in. You need to have your ventilation. Obviously while you're driving, the battery's getting charged. It probably matters less, and you've got your aircon on, air's flowing through the vehicle, getting that circulation happening. I just want to be clear, it's the installation of the fridges that is the problem, making them inefficient, not the compressor, not the wiring, not the battery. Everything else in this setup's good. This is great for down south. It's cool for cooler climates, and it doesn't mean it's not for you. It just means you've got to understand that your battery with these fridges is only going to last overnight. We're running 2 fridges here, 2 compressors. It's only going to last overnight, like this circumstance, before it needs either a drive or solar or to plug in. So we've got the charger here as well, right? So the charger's there. We can just plug that in, you know, we can get a powered site and plug it in if we need to, but we've got solar there. We'll get the solar out soon and give it a top up. We'll go for a drive, all that sort of thing. So it does the job, but with a more efficient fridge, like if I had the angle in that space there like we do in the other vehicle, even the 55 amp hour battery, I could park it yesterday, it'd be still on 12.4 now. It'd last all day and all night, and tomorrow morning I'd be looking at around about this sort of voltage. So kind of lasts twice as long with an efficient fridge is the conclusion of what I'm trying to explain in this video. If you like that, that was some feedback for you. Remember to get on and subscribe on 4x4 Touring Australia, spelt the same as 4x4 Diesel, except 4x4 Touring space Australia. We've got a new Facebook group called 4x4 Diesel. Nothing else, just 4x4 Diesel, just like this YouTube channel. You might want to get onto that group. That's where you're going to be able to post your problems up, like it might be a compressor problem like these guys over here, or whatever it may be. And obviously it's easy for everybody to see that. You can put photos and videos, and you can reply to help, rather than asking questions on our YouTube channel that are completely off topic, that you're not really going to get any help there, because I'm too busy to read all the comments or reply to all the comments, and other people aren't going to see them. That's not where they're looking. So we've started this Facebook group. If you're into the touring side, not only should you subscribe to 4x4 Touring Australia, we've also got a group, Oz 4x4 Adventures. So OZ, just spelt the same again, 4x4 Adventures, right? So that's our Facebook group that I suppose goes hand in hand with our YouTube channel, 4x4 Touring Australia. Love this K-on table, that's one of our best mods. The storage in the 150 rear door, K-on, growing business, and they always come out with new bits and pieces like this. Like, I think I just saw a Pajero rear door table come out. All this sort of stuff will be available on other vehicles later. Slowly they'll get there. Please be patient. Thanks for watching. If you like that, please give us a thumbs up. I was just trying to give you the feedback, because I noticed people asking, they were after the feedback on these fridges, so there it is. but it's not going to be on this channel anymore. I just want to get that message across. That's more touring information. We're going to try and keep the 4x4 diesel, the mechanical side, kind of like, you know, that's mechanical, that's kind of touring and mechanical, because I wanted to show you the fuel hoses rubbing through, but they didn't want me to do a video, so we're just over here doing this video, sort of combining the two. Anyway, please thumbs up, subscribe, turn the bell on all those channels and pages, so we can help you and you can help us. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.